I forgot how musical inclined you are.
Oh, well, thank you. I sometimes I just have you heard the expression somebody is just whittling, humming when they whittle, or just
Yeah.
it's just I try to be a joy-filled person, even when I'm uh, when I'm on that bridge over troubled waters. I find something to center myself, and usually it's music of some sort.
I,
Um, because I think for many of us, um, we're waiting for someone else to save us. We're waiting for a miracle when sometimes the only thing we have to do is back up or make a U-turn. And we've talked somewhat about that in the past. Um, so I guess the question to people that are listening today is, are you waiting to be rescued? And if you are, then who are you expecting to come rescue you? You say now, "Pfft, what the hell is this guy talking about?" Let's see if I can put it in reference to situations and circumstances that's happening in life. Not all of them, because there's no way. But I think that there are certain ones that are impactful that most people know about, have heard about, read about, have seen something about. There's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine, where Russia, the perpetrator, is trying to take over supremacy of Ukraine, and Ukraine says, "Not now, and we're going to fight until." And in the fighting, Ukraine has asked people to come to rescue them. So much of the Western world is providing support to Ukraine to defend itself against Russia. So who's going to come? And usually that's people who either have financial, military, humanitarian might, significance, of the way. They could have something else. 2 weeks ago, there was a major earthquake in Turkey and Syria, along the Turkish and Syrian border. A major earthquake killed thousands upon thousands of people. And then 2 weeks after that, another earthquake in that same area happened. And nations who could sent support. Now, you can't send it all at once because of choke points. And people go like, "Oh man," and and that's something that that we hear about. It's in the news all the time. And then this early this morning, I was listening, and I think Leland, you will admit, if you will agree that the climatic conditions, and we talked about climate sometime last week, weather versus climate, that the climatic conditions or weather patterns over the last few months across the country, across the world, have been unpredictable, unseasonable. Um, you know, uh, Conditions haven't been this bad in 50 or 100 years. So California's been doing some stuff, because year before last and the year before that, it was fires and drought. I think it was last weekend, Los Angeles got snow.
right.
Most people have never heard of snow in Los Angeles. So California's been hit with floods and snow. And there's a place called Bear Mountain where people go to ski and vacation in California.
Right.
People are snowbound. They're snowed in. They It was saying that some of them had anticipated, had planned to leave the area last Thursday, and as of this morning, they're still there. Nobody can get in, and nobody can get out, and I think it's still snowing. So they're stuck there. They're stuck there. And the people in California who have a responsibility for keeping the roads clear and things of that sort can't make it up there. So the people who are stuck are really stuck. So they're hoping someone will come to save them. They've called all of the numbers, and people have said, "Sorry, we're not going to come in your direction unless it's a medical emergency." And I'm thinking, "Dag, do I fake? I mean, if I were there, would I fake a medical emergency because I'm running out of food?" Um, so what do you do? And I know it's not the same in our everyday lives, Leland, but I think that there are people at wit's end. They've got their backs against the wall. They're in a blizzard of sweat. They're snowbound in some fashion, and they don't know who to call, and they don't know how they're going to get out of that tight, that fix, that rock and a hard place that they're in.
It's interesting, Hank, that you bring that up. So, and I promise for those who are listening, they're probably wondering, like, what does that have to do with anything? So, California, believe it or not, is an area that, if you think about it, it has a distinct climate. And periodically, the weather of California can be extreme. But if you think about it, California's climate is pretty extreme. For example,
Mhm.
I could go snowboarding in the state of California, but I could also take another board called a surfboard and go surfing in the state of California.
Yeah, sure enough.
I could I could have a car, or someone's car could be driving and fall through a sinkhole in the state of California, in which someone miles away could actually go through an earthquake in the state of California.
Mhm.
For those of us who really, really, really like history, there's a couple of maps that are still out there in circulation that the government has not taken yet. Um, and the maps date back to the 14 and 1500s. And so this is when there were some European quote unquote explorers that were in the California area. And what most people are not aware of is that the sequoia trees, for example, extreme climate, extreme conditions, extreme results. Sequoia trees, Hank, if you do you recall or do you know how? I'm sure you know, but do you know how
Big.
tall a sequoia tree is?
Couple of hundred feet, a couple
Yeah,
hundred feet, and
diameter as well as height.
oh, oh
So
man, more than 14 feet in diameter.
yeah, yeah, bigger
Big.
than a tractor trailer,
Yeah,
or let's
big.
say a double wide.
Yeah.
So that extreme climate produced an extreme tree. Like I don't know anywhere else in the United States that there is a plethora of sequoias.
Mm-mm. I think just in California, if in the U.S., and I think it might be somewhat endangered.
Absolutely, I think it's just in the world.
Hmm.
So and I'm getting somewhere, guys. Just track with me real quick.
Hmm.
But a sequoia tree can actually be the width of some people's homes. Just in case someone's wondering. And just as it's that wide, it is taller than many skyscrapers. And it's been that way for centuries. Okay.
Hmm.
What's interesting, going back to the map, in the 1400s, the map that they drew of California was actually an island.
Sure enough. Hmm. Hmm.
California was an island. So let that sink in. That means that all the desert that you see, including that of the state of Nevada, as well as Phoenix, or excuse me, Arizona, that was all desert. And they call that area east of California, they call that the Red Sea in the 14 and 1500s. Time progresses and another extreme type of climate takes place to where now that water dries up. that body of water literally dried up, and now we have what we have today. So here's what I'm getting at: is it out of character for such things to take place in California? And by the way, for those of you guys who are wondering, you're like, well, in the 1500s, they didn't have California. In the 1500s, California was called Califia. It was named after a queen named Califia, and that was an island, and it was an island of only women, and they were considered Amazon women, and that's where the name California came from. So yes, there was an actual California in the 14, 1500s. So anyway, going back to the actual question though, is that extreme for California? Is that out of character for California?
That's interesting that you asked that, because it's out of character for those who are less than 50.
Okay.
Or it might be out of character for those that are less than 70. What I'm getting at is we've all lived through something that we call normal.
Mm.
My little hometown was normal. Nobody had anything normal. And then I moved away went to college, and then college was normal. And then I joined the military, and the military was normal. But town didn't understand what college was like. Okay. And the people in college didn't understand what the military was like. So I think that we are able to move. California doesn't move, in the sense that I'm talking about moving. The sequoias don't move.
Right.
But there are other things that are happening that causes us to be talking about California today, or to be talking about Turkey and in Syria today. Something is happening for us to be talking to you today about who's going to come to rescue you. How will you be rescued? You know, have you made the necessary preparations to the degree that you can, so that there's no need for you to be rescued? But you never know what tomorrow will bring to you. So my question to you is, what are you doing today to prepare for tomorrow? Okay.
And I want to take it a step further.
Hmm.
And this is going to hurt. I'm going to step on toes.
Step on me. I need it today.
I need this every day. So this includes me whenever I do these things. If I was trapped in a cabin during this extreme, quote unquote, extreme conditions in California,
Hmm.
it's not out of character for that to happen.
Mm-mm.
If someone knew the history of the state, it's not out of character for that to happen, or the region. It's not out of character. So then I have to then say to myself, was I ill prepared? And because of me being ill prepared, should I now
Ooh.
expect for others to come to my rescue? Because hear me out real quick. This for someone
Yes.
who I know someone's
Ooh.
upset, right? Someone's like, well, how should I know that there was going to be extreme weather in California? You wanted to go, did you not?
Mm.
Did you not choose to learn about the place that you were going? That would also be the equivalent of me saying, I want to go to the local deli. And I choose not to actually look at the best route for me to go to the deli. And I choose not to look at the neighborhood in which the deli is located. And I choose not to think about the people in which might be in that community. It's a similar thing. Now, granted, here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people should expect that to happen to them, blah, blah, blah. The metaphor that I am connecting is, it's not out of character for what happened. It's unfortunate. It's a unfortunate event that happened, but it's not out of character. As a matter of fact, we have all seen on the news where within the same year, let alone the same month, there will be wildfires in one part of the state and mudslides in another.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. So those extreme conditions are not out of
Yeah,
clear.
but Leland, it's interesting that you said that because I was sitting here, chomping at the bit, so to speak. For people in California, and that we're speaking of, that live in Big Bear Valley and up in that area, they know what it's like. They know the preparations that need to be made during the wintertime.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, let me take it one more step further. I like I have family that lives in California, but I didn't grow up in California, and so I remember helping a family member set up some things in her house, and she made a comment and said, "Ooh, don't put that near that wall unless I can nail it down." Now, in my mind, I'm thinking
Earthquakes.
like, the hell? Who cares? Like, I'm going to set this thing up because I got somewhere to
Hush
go.
now.
But she said,
Mhm.
no, no, don't. If you're not going to nail that down, don't set that up against the wall. So, of course,
Mm,
in my ignorance,
mm, mm.
I say, well, why not? And she
Well,
said, because not if. She said, but when. She says, when an earthquake happens, I want to make sure that those things don't fall over, that they don't break. She didn't say if a earthquake happens. That would mean
mhm,
that someone
mhm.
who's native to that area, what they were already conditioned to know that it's not an if, it's a
It's a
when.
it's a win. Yeah. What, excuse me. Which to me it says, for those who are going to visit, we don't know what we don't know, and and when we do things, sometimes we're looking at the brighter side of circumstances and situations. Um, we stay in a job until there's no longer a job. I think I heard that Google, I think it was Google, let go a percentage of his staff over, I think, over the weekend. Now, I've been a manager and hired and fired, and the rule of thumb was don't let folk go on a Friday. If you're going to fire them, let them fire them on a Tuesday or Wednesday so they can still get their resumes together and go out and do some stuff. So, but the point I'm making is that some people will just sit there, and with today's technology, they know that a flood's coming. They know that a snowstorm is coming, and they decided that they would just sit there and enjoy their vacation. And now they're stuck. Point being that in life there are early warning signals, and sometimes it's a gut reaction, a gut instinct about something you don't know what, but again, it's certain alerts. Your antennas go up, and you go like, "Dad, what's that all about? I wonder why that is." Okay, so but the point is, there have been signs in your life for years that you have not heeded,
That's good.
and now you're at a point in your life where there have been blinking lights. And
Yeah.
maybe as you were coming along, all of the lights were green when you got there. And some of you were clever enough, and some of them were turning orange. And then for some of you, you just ran on through the red ones.
I want to. Can I add something there?
Please, please, please. We're having a conversation, my brother.
So, and this is also for me. So again, I know I'm hurting people's feelings, but again, this is for me as well. Sometimes when we grow up in an environment where we are used, like we're accustomed to the orange lights, and for Hank, some people may not know how severe the orange lights are, right? If you have an
Hmm.
orange alert, some of us may have grown up in environments or become accustomed to having the orange lights, and because of that, we miss signals. We miss the I call it the Holy Spirit, but we miss the ability to be in tune or to
Hmm.
listen or to be still, peaceful, or to even know like how do we act. We miss those opportunities. We're human, and no one gets that. 100% right anyway. And it reminds me, and I know that we're in two different generations, but it reminds me about my generation as a millennial, to where in my generation, at least once a decade, if not every 4 years, there was always some type of economic catastrophe. Like I remember when I was in sixth grade, there was 9/11, and then I
Hmm.
remember a couple years later there was anthrax, and I remember a couple years later, and so every 2 years, for my generation at least, that was what my generation was accustomed to, and I think that was around the time where Homeland Security went from, I don't know, blue or something to orange. Okay. And it's been at orange ever since. So now we have people that are accustomed to the alerts being orange. So when you see additional things to be alerted about, you're so inundated or accustomed to already being at a high alert, you're done.
But but in this high alert that you talk about, this orange,
Yep.
that's normal for people of today, where it means
Nothing.
absolutely
Nothing.
nothing. Okay. And then they'll say, well, gee whiz, what happened? I didn't know that.
I
And
didn't see
we've
it.
That's right. And we've talked about people being stuck in silos. They're hooked on Netflix, they're hooked on Apple TV, they're hooked, that's all they do. They just become creatures of habit, and they are attuned to that program and nothing else. They will put their kids to bed early so they can watch their program. They will lock the dog out the house or in the garage so that they won't be disturbed with their program.
Tell that dog to be quiet. That's right.
Yeah, but, or even of loved ones. And what I'm getting at is that's okay.
But wait,
That's okay
wait a second, Hank. But is it? But is
to
it?
do it sometime. But see, I was gonna say to be that way sometime, but some people do it all the time, and I call it selfishness. Actually, I call it. Oh, no, I can't say that word. It starts with an S, but I can't say that because the people be offended. The point making is that we've got time to get additional training or additional education. We got time to make certain that our resume is up to speed. We can put it out. There are things we can net. We talked about networking a few weeks ago. We can network. Okay,
It's deep though.
and I talk about a friend of ours that I met some years ago at Costco. Shopping at Costco, we're now best buddies.
Yeah.
I met you through a friend, to a friend, to a friend. Okay. And of the friends, you and I are best buddies. And we are lifting one another up, supporting one another, strategizing,
Yeah.
planning, trying to make a difference, sharing with other people. We're doing all of that. And I'm saying, said, okay, about rescue. And I'm sitting back and going like, okay, if we are attuned, then we will pay attention to I called it before butterflies. God, you pray, God answers a question. You answers you. It could be in the form of a butterfly. It's a guy I met in the cold storage area of Costco. And now we are working on a potential deal. Are we not, Leland?
That's right. We're doing those analysis for him.
When I first met him, Leland, you were looking for someone who had his skill set.
That's right.
Okay. I don't know what you were looking for when you met me, but here I am. And I
I
am
got
so
I got what I
thrilled.
was looking for. I was looking for a mentor. So, but just want to just to circle back one more time. So a lot of times we miss, and I've done it myself. We miss the, if you want to call it, the butterflies, but we miss the butterflies because we're in an environment of high alert, and the the siren has been going on so long in the background that we
Mm,
don't even
mm,
hear
mm,
it anymore. Now, I
immune.
will say this:
Mm,
there are
mm,
some
mm.
people. There's always it's technically three sides to a coin, right? There's tails, there's heads, and then there's a little sliver in the middle, right?
People forget about that little piece.
Yep. And each side is valuable, and that technically each side is true in its own right.
That's
So
right. Okay.
now there are some people that are like extreme to where they hear the sirens, they hear the warnings, and they just don't care. For example, for example, you had mentioned the people in the weather storm. There, I'm sure there were some people that were told about that before they came, that
Hmm.
as they were unpacking their bags, they were still being warned about it. As the hotel staff or whatever was leaving, they still chose to stay. As I don't know, as the recreational person for the ski lift was saying, "Hey, we're not going to use the ski lift at all this week because inclement weather might happen." And there may have been, I'm pretty sure there was somebody that was like, that's not going to happen to me.
I've been in snow before.
Yeah, just like the whole arrogant. I've met people like that where it's like, hey man,
How
uh,
bad can it get?
right? Like it's like, hey man, you want to put on your seatbelt? Seatbelts? I don't need that. It's
Crash.
like, what in the world is going on? So there's always those folk. Okay, so we're not talking about those folk because what's sad though is when that detrimental thing happens to people that have that mindset,
Hmm.
they never want to take responsibility for it.
I I'm gonna get political.
That's fine with me. I don't care.
I think people have heard about New Palestine, Ohio.
Yes.
Okay, again, a catastrophic situation that happened, and and people are afraid to breathe the air, drink the water, whatever. A lot of things that are going on. Okay, and there are local governments, there are county governments, there are state governments, there are federal governments. All right, and the much of the hoopla is on the federal government. So, point being that there are people who don't want the government to be involved with anything, but the moment they have the snowstorm, they blame the government for the snowstorm. Okay, so we're people who could be ready, could get ready, had an opportunity to be the supervisor or the manager or get promoted or move on and
Yeah.
better their lots in life, but they were comfort in their discomfort. Comfort. They were
That's right.
comfortable in their discomfort. They became average, ordinary, sedentary, complacent. And they go like, how wasn't that? Think about it. How many opportunities have you passed up on because either you were arrogant or afraid?
Yeah. And
Okay.
both are bad.
Notice,
Equally bad,
yeah,
actually.
but I'm afraid, Leland.
No, we're all afraid. Hell, I'm afraid right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Right,
And
absolutely.
and I, and
Go
and,
ahead.
and this is kind of, and this is so sad, dangerous, but it's also misconstrued. You hear people talk about success and being comfortable and being uncomfortable.
Hmm. 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 But you can't call them that because like, hey, but again, when you know better and you can do better and you don't do,
There you go.
okay, then all of a sudden you go like, well, wow, well, now you got regrets. I would rather have a regret that I tried and failed than not to try at all. So the question is, and people say, I'm afraid. I know what fear is, but there's a difference between fear and danger. When I was in Vietnam, I was afraid, but there was danger every step I took. There was danger every day of my life for 365 days. That was danger. Okay? I'm fearful here in Indiana. But just because I'm fearful doesn't mean that I go and pack my heat. I don't go grab my flak jacket and my helmet.
Right.
No, it's a different there's a difference. and you treat this fear like it's danger. You don't want to change. I'm comfortable, man. I'm comfortable where I'm at. You know. So what is your complacency? Okay, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to say it. What is that complacency or that stupidity doing to you? What is your lack of oomph doing to your family? Is your son and daughter watching you and saying, and you in your complacent state and saying, well, I want to be like daddy, I want to be like mama? Or are they being inspired because they see you always fighting, that you're always strapping on every day to make a difference, to make life a little bit easier for them? What are you doing? Or are you the type of person to say, well, my mom and dad never did anything for me, so I ain't gonna do nothing for my kids? What kind of mindset do you have? You said, well, hey, come on now. So again, it goes back to who you looking to save you. I'm willing to help you, but you gotta show some initiative. You gotta be willing to listen. Now, do you have to do what I ask you to, I mean, what I tell you? No, no, no. The decision is yours. If you like it and you got your stinking thinking and you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. Because again, tomorrow I wake up me smiling. So the question is, we've got opportunity, we've got chances. We got to make some choices today, not tomorrow. And if you take the chance, you make some you make some choices, you do a little bit of changing, and then somewhere along the line, your life will change, and you'll be just a little bit more comfortable because you were willing to stretch. To stretch, you have to be willing to stretch. You got to be willing to put something on the line. You have to be willing to get back in the game and compete. Okay. But if you're not willing to do that, then stop complaining. But again, who's going to come save you? Who's going to come rescue you? Are we going to sit back and wait for the man? They're trying to cut out social insecurity. They're trying to cut out Medicare and Medicaid. If you don't have a retirement, you haven't saved for retirement, what you going to do when that time comes? You can't walk into Walmart or Costco and get a job as a greeter because all of that's been automated.
Yeah, that is crazy. I never even thought they would do that so quickly. Um,
It's happening everywhere.
and I'm only saying that part, talking about greeters specifically at that store, because I remember that they used to advertise or boast about how they were putting veterans and elderly, et cetera, to work.
Mhm,
And now they're saying the hell with that PR statement. We rather save the dollar
mhm,
than make
mhm.
that available. So like I was shocked when I heard they started doing that.
But see, as we've gone through stuff from the farm age to the industrial age to the automation age to wherever we are now,
Mm,
people have listened and they've learned and they've adapted and they've moved on and all these other things. Okay, hopefully, and people have taken responsibility. They didn't wait for a handout. They waited for, they didn't want a handout. Okay, but they were looking for a hand. They wanted a hand up rather than a hand out. And Leland, you and I know people who we have shared time and information with, and because we weren't wearing a suit and we didn't drive up in a Mercedes or a big Lexus, I started to say a Beamer, but that's you. I can't. You get my drift. But because we didn't quote look the part of success, they just look at us like we ain't nothing. They forgot the butterfly wasn't the right color butterfly for them. We didn't I got a guy who doesn't he wants to meet with me. Okay? He's willing to have lunch with me, have a meeting with me, but he wants to meet Leland at a place called the Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which is one of the top 5 steakhouses in Indianapolis, Indiana, just for a meeting. Okay? So because I haven't bitten that bullet, the assumption is, well, hey, I'm not going to meet with this dude. He can't afford Ruth Chris. And I'm going, why should I buy him lunch or dinner at Ruth Chris just for a few minutes of his time? If I'm important, he'll have coffee or nothing. We just sit and chat. Because if you take the bait for people who are trying to determine whether or not you got it or you don't got it, those are not the people you need to be talking to. Talk to them on the phone. Set up a Google Meet now, okay, or Zoom chat, something, but don't fall for their BS. Trying to prove that you have arrived. They don't care about you. They care about themselves, and they want to know what can you do for me to make me better than you. So keep waiting, and you will perish. Keep waiting for the boss who promised you something. Next week that boss is gone, and there's a new boss. Now what you gonna do? I hope I'm making sense to you. I just really hope I'm making some sense to you. There is time. What are
Well,
you gonna do with it?
yeah, exactly. So I'm happy you said it that way because I think that what people oftentimes forget is they look at time. It's so weird. People look at time as the equivalent to money, and it's not. Time is not the equivalent to money. Have you had this is a funny statement, but it's true. How many people have we all ran into who have ever ran out of money? How many people
most
have you
most
ran
of
in,
them.
how many people have you ever ran into that have ran out of time?
When we all get the same 24 hours every day, isn't that amazing?
The people that run out of time, you don't see them again.
Mm. Woo! Say that again.
The people that run out of time, you never see them again.
Wow! Wow!
So when Hank says that you have time, it's not to say that you shouldn't make the best of your time. It's a reminder that that's a valuable resource that you should try to get the most out of it that you can.
It's if you want to get from where you are to where you want to be in life, you need to be able to examine your purpose, evaluate your life values, analyze your strengths,
Hmm.
examine the career choices that you have based on education, experience, and whomever it is that you know. Assess what opportunities might be available, but you got to start somewhere. For those of you who don't have hobbies, please find a hobby, find something to do that allows you to regenerate, reinvigorate yourself. Because you can't just work all the time. You need some time to relax and contemplate. And then read, 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 learn, and then find someone to associate that helps you to be a better example of yourself. And as you're doing that, I truly believe that somewhere along the line you will have an epiphany, an aha moment where you go like, that makes sense. I'll give it a shot. Man, I don't know how to do that. Well, hey, let's give it. Hey, let's see what we can find out together. You know, I used to run a lot when I was in the military. I'd run 2 or 3 miles a day, and on weekends I'd run 6 or 8. And I'd play this and I'd play that and play this and play that. I found that when I ran alone, I didn't run as well or as far as I did when I had a running partner. Notice I didn't say jogging partner, I said a running partner. I couldn't play racquetball by myself. I had someone to play racquetball with. I couldn't play basketball by myself. I could go to the sauna, I could go to the steam room by myself. So my question is, who's your road dog? Not the road dog that's taking you to the hoochie shop, you know, but who is helping you to be a better you, to get you in condition and keeping you in condition mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a dear friend that called me this morning from someplace in Florida. I mean, in Georgia. Georgia, not Georgia. You said, well, shoot, where's the friend? He's in Texas. He moves around a lot. And we had a long conversation, and he just needed to talk. And while he talked, I listened. And then I let him know what I think it is that I heard him say and what he was asking for. And the only thing he was asking for was genuine friendship. He said, "Man, I got this." He said, I just needed to be able to exhale. I thought about you, and I'm good." And I said, "Hey, man, I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do." Notice I didn't say if there's something I can do. If there's anything I can do, don't hesitate to call. And he says, "I know that." And this guy I met through another guy that I met through another guy. And he's the one that ended up. And I think there's some expression about some people in your life for a minute, some for an hour, some for a day, some for a week, some for a month, some for a year, some for a lifetime. I know I ad libbed that a little bit, but the point I'm making is he's one of those lifetime friends. The guy I met at Costco's, a lifetime friend. The guy that's with me today, a lifetime friend. I didn't ask him to be my lifetime friend. It just happens because if you go looking for something, you forget the butterfly.
You do forget the butterfly.
Okay.
You're not able to hear.
You're brilliant because I said I listened to my friend until he got to the point where he breathed. And sometimes we meet people and we want to impress them. We always one up in them, man. Well, I did this. Man, I rolled a strike when I was bowling. Man, I did 2 strikes. And then the next time, man, I rolled 3 strikes. Man, I had a perfect game. Yeah, it's crazy why we are constantly stamp collecting or comparing. Who gives a rat?
Nobody.
At the end, nobody. So
Nobody.
stop. You say, well, man, I need to feel important. What does that mean? What does feeling important mean? Does having a fancy car make you feel important? Having the college degree, does that make you feel important? Does having initials behind your name make you feel important? Does working for a Fortune 500 does that make you feel important? Because if all of those are the things that make you feel important, then your importance is insignificant. It's superficial. So my question is, who are you? Are you going to wait for somebody? Or are you going to go out there and start to find a shovel or stick or something to try to get yourself out of this this snowdrift that you're in? Okay. Well, I'm not dressed for it. Well, you're going to die. I'm just saying, it. I, I'm not frustrated, people. I imploring you that you are better than you think you are. You are better than your circumstances. Now, here, don't get it twisted. Don't go out there thinking you're better than somebody. Don't go out there thinking that you got more than somebody.
Right.
Just go out there to meet somebody and meet them where they are. And don't worry about titles and stuff and what you got.
Mm.
Don't try to be the show pony, because I've seen a whole bunch of show ponies trip, fall.
Some show ponies turn into donkeys.
Or dog meat. I'm sorry. That wasn't funny. Yes, it was. It was funny. Dog meat.
It's funny. We got to be because we got to be mindful. We got to be mindful. That's it.
That's all.
Some show ponies
But
become donkeys.
don't be afraid. If you go in with good intentions, with the right intentions, okay? If you go in, you'll have a friend like Leland. If you go in with the right intentions, you'll have a friend like Rod. If you go in with the right intention, you got a friend like Donnie. I mean, what are your intentions? Just be real, because what were we doing? We were just trying to do a deal. We didn't know. We were just trying to do a deal. And since then, we've gone through a lot of deals.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the goat farm we were looking at?
Yeah, the vineyard. What was that? Was that Hawaii or?
Yeah, it was in Hawaii. The vineyard in Oregon. Who
Yeah.
knew? I mean, come on,
No,
Leland.
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who knew?
Mm-mm-mm.
Who knew? If you've got a friend that you got to be concerned about what he or she's saying or what he or she's thinking about you, find yourself another friend. Or what kind of friend are you that you're thinking about what they're thinking? Because if you can figure out what they're thinking, then you're not thinking correctly. You'll get that. So I hope that you're able to deal with emergencies and adversities, not necessarily the same way, but to be able to deal with them, that while it's happening, be planning and strategizing. If you're someplace and it says, hey, this is going to happen, and you're already in it, then you still got some time to do something. Make the most of the time that you've got available. You know? You thought you would have arrived by now, and you realize the fact that you're still on the road, or the traffic stopped and it had nothing to do with you. It just stopped. Then take out a book and read. No, you said, well, I don't have a book. Well, take out your phone and don't go to Facebook, Google, and find something to read about. I'm saying use your time wisely. And if you do that, then you'll start to feel better about you. And because you feel better about you, you'll start to care more about the people around you. And when you start to care about the people around you, they will start to care more. They will reciprocate.
And it may not happen directly from them, though. Let's put that out there.
That is true.
Okay. So you
Yeah,
might be
you're right. It
be
won't.
extremely kind to Bob, and Bob may never reciprocate. But someone may ask Bob later on, man, it could be a year later. They may ask Bob about something, and he might say, you know what, I think you should talk to Hank about that.
Well, yeah, well, I know him, but I don't know, man. I didn't get any good vibes from him.
I wanted to touch on this part real quick.
Yes, sir.
In reference to New Palestine, Ohio, and I had to do some research on the word Palestine, and this is pretty interesting because it lends a different perspective. So, in Hebrew, Palestine is, they just consider that the land of the Philistines. That's just what they think. That's how they interpret that. But in Arabic, Palestine is interpreted as the Holy Land.
Mm-hmm.
The Holy Land. Two different perspectives, but both are right. Because if you live there,
Mm-hmm.
and if you declare that's your holy land, you are right.
Mm-hmm.
But if you live there, and let's say you are a Palestinian, one could say a Philistine. As an example, like here's what I'm getting at. In the new Holy Land, people cannot drink water in the new Holy Land. Just let that sink in. In the new Holy Land, somewhere in Ohio, there's a new Holy Land that the land is contaminated to where the inhabitants can't even drink the water.
Afraid to breathe the air.
Afraid to breathe the air in the new Holy Land located in Ohio. And I bet, Hank, there might be some of us where our hearts or our minds might also be contaminated.
Whoa. Woo, that was woo.
So
That was a fastball, my friend.
And so we're wondering, hey, look, we're wondering why that so-called seed you planted can't grow. You ever think about this? You don't plant trees. You only plant seeds. And based on the soil that you put that seed in, it will determine whether or not you're going to get back a tree.
Yeah, but you don't plant an acorn and expect to get an apple.
Maybe a topic for another day. So with
It
that
just
being
says,
said,
make sure you know what you're planting. That's
make sure
all. That's all. That's all.
I'll take a step further. Make sure you know what you're sowing.
Hallelujah.
Some of us,
Leland,
a lot of
I'm
negative.
hoping that we've made sense to some people today. But if there's some subtle meanings to some of the stuff that we say, and I hope they get the subtle meaning, because the subtle meanings are more meaningful than the things that they think they heard.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother.
That's it. Have a good day,
Everybody, hey,
everyone.
take care, and don't get snowbound.